In this session, we shall take a look at some of the commonly available or commonly used library methods or functions we can use when we are writing our own programs. So we shall take a look at some of the common header files like string.h, standardlib.h, mat.h, iomanip.h, iostream.h, and so on. Now, first let's understand what is a string. I have declared character A with a capacity of 50. It's an array with a capacity of 50, and WEL is an example of a string. So in order to manipulate strings, say if you want to make a copy of well, you want to join them, all these things, there are a number of library functions available in C++. So I'll just glance through the different library functions available as we take a look at the programs, and as you start programming on your own, you will get familiar with the different library functions available and how do you go about using them. So the string.h contains prototype declarations of functions which help us manipulate or get us do different things with string and memory. Some of the most frequently used functions in string.h are just mentioned here. I won't run through everything, I'll just run through the ones which we are going to frequently use. Now, if you want to make a copy of a string, you will use a function called as strcpy. So suppose you want to make one more copy of well, you can use strcpy to make one more copy into another array C, D, E, and so on. Subsequently, we shall be taking a look at a few programs and you will understand the use of these common functions very well. strcat stands for concatenate strings. What concatenate means is it means join the two strings. If I concatenate A and B, then the new string will become welcome. String compare, that means I compare two things. I can compare well with come. How do I compare? I compare the ASCII value of W with the ASCII value of C. So string compare is used to compare two names, two addresses, two strings to see whether they are equal or not. Then if you want to find the length of a string, you can use strlen. This is used to tell us how many characters are there in this particular string. In this case, there are 3. In this case, there are 4. There are other functions. We shall only learn about them as we progress in C++ and do it. But the most frequently used ones are going to be string copy, string concatenate, string compare, and you're going to have your string length. The rest of them, you will have a library. You just need to look into the library based on your requirement and use the appropriate function. In order to use these functions like string length, string concatenate, you must include the header file string.h in your program. Now let's take a look at another library called as the standard lib. So in standard lib, what we do is this contains a number of functions or function declarations for handling memory. Right now, when I declare an array, the compiler allocates space for the array at compile time or at statically before the program is loaded into the main memory. But you can also allocate main memory based on your requirement dynamically. Say for example, in an array, I allocate space for 100 roll numbers, but actually I use only 10, so 90 are wasted. But using dynamic memory allocation, I can allocate only the required amount of memory as per my need. So standard library contains routines for memory management, allocation of memory, deletion of memory after it's used, that is called freeing up of memory. Then if you want to search some values in a list, you want to do sorting, quick sort, and all these are examples of algorithms and other functions. Now let's run through some of the functions to give you an idea. The function atof, it's pronounced as atof. It converts a string to double. So suppose I have a string like this 123.66. If I use atof, it will get converted into a double value. From a character or a string, it will get converted into double data type. atoi, it converts a string to an integer. So only 123 gets saved as an integer. Then these calloc, free, malloc, realloc, these are all functions used to allocate main memory as you are running your program. free the memory when you're not using it, and so on. This you'll get to learn in your 12th. Abs, to find the absolute value of a number. Suppose it's minus 35, absolute value will just give you plus 35. It will ignore the sign. Then you can do absolute value, you can reallocate memory, then you can generate a random number, and so on. So these are some of the functions available in standard library. Now let's take a look at other functions which are going to be commonly used. So we have frequently used this header file called as iostream.h. In iostream, what have we used? We have used cin for reading data from the keyboard, cout for displaying on the standard output device. If we are using files, we can use open, close, all of these other stuff. So it contains input output functions to do basic input output into your programs. IOmanip, the only two functions you have commonly used is set width and basically end line to generate a new line. The other functions you will get to need or get to use as and when you really encounter them. No need to remember them. Just remember that there is a file called IOmanip. This header file contains declaration or model or prototypes for manipulation of the input output based on parameterized manipulations. That's why it's called as a IOmanip.h. Then math.h. A lot of times we'll be doing a number of mathematical activities, finding the cos of a x in radians, finding the sine of x in radians, finding the tan of x in radians. So this math.h header file contains the prototypes for all these commonly used mathematical functions to find out or do different operation. Say for example, exp of x gives us exponential of e raised to the power of x. Log of x gets us the natural logarithm of x. Square root of x, which we will use very frequently to find the square root of x. So power xy, x raised to the power of y. So these are some of the functions available in math.h, and all of these values of x and the value these functions give us back to us are going to be of the type double or double data type. The values of these functions or the return values are going to be of double data type. Now let's take a look at a little bit about character functions or functions which are based on an individual character. So you need to be sure that you know the difference between a string and a character. String can have multiple 0 or more characters. Character can have at the most one single character. So let us try to understand what is a character. Suppose I say char d is equal to b. D is a variable of the type character. It allocates only 1 byte or 8 bits for this particular value b to be stored. So in order to use character functions, you must include the header file called as ctype.h. This ctype.h contains all the prototypes or function declarations of commonly used character functions. So let's try to understand what are the character functions. The standard form of these character functions will be, it will return int, means it will give us back an integer value. This is the name of the function, and the parameter or what it takes from us is going to be a character. These all will be clear as we proceed to learn functions in the next chapter. So I'll just explain to you what a parameter and all means so that you just don't get confused. Suppose I say something like this. I say string length of xyz. I want the string length of xyz. What is strlen? It's the name of the function. What is it going to return? It's going to return 3. So it is returning an integer type data. That is the return type. And what is this? This happens to be a string type of data. So this happens to be one parameter. Whereas in case of a character, the character is converted into its ASCII value. So let's take one simple example. Let's take this particular fellow. Is alpha. Is alpha. What it really means is alpha is a function. So if I say is alpha y, what happens is it is asking me whether this character y, okay, this character y is converted into its ASCII value and it is sent to this function is alpha. Is alpha is just checking whether this particular is a number or an alphabet. If it's an alphabet between capital A to Z and small a to Z, it will return a non-zero value. Otherwise, if it happens to be a character like question mark, star, it will return a value of 0. So what this is trying to tell us is all these character functions have this particular format. They will accept one of the parameters. Parameter is this y here, int character. The ASCII value of this will be sent to function name. Function name is alpha, and return type. Return type is it will return non-zero value if this is alphabet. In this case, it's alphabet. It will send back a non-zero value. So what is a character constant? Any character which is enclosed in single quote is a character constant. This is a character constant. Some of the commonly used functions available in ctype.h, these are quite important because you'll be using them very frequently. ISA-LNUM, this function declared in ctype.h will return or send us back a non-zero value if we send it a letter or a digit. That letter and digits are known as alphanumeric characters. That is, alphabets plus numbers are known as alphanumeric characters. So A to Z, 0 to 9, these are known as alphabets and numbers, also in short form alphanumeric characters. So if you send alphabets or numbers to it, it will return non-zero. Otherwise, it will return a 0. Is alpha will only return a non-zero if you send a alphabet to it. If you send a number, it will return 0. Is digit, it expects you to send a digit between 0 to 9. If you send an alphabet or any other character, it will return 0. Is lower, it will tell you, or it will tell us whether the character you have sent it is upper or lower case. Is upper, same, it will tell us whether the character is uppercase or not. To upper, if a character is lowercase, it will convert it to uppercase. If it is already uppercase, it will do nothing. To lower, it will convert a uppercase to lower. If the character is already in lowercase or any other invalid character, it will do nothing. So this should have given you an idea about some of these library functions we are going to use. A lot of this is going to be clear once I show you a demonstration of few programs, and that's going to come in the next few sessions.